We're now going to start moving on and doing things. I'm going to show you the basics, but you will need to adapt these videos to make it look like your design. So we're now going to look at the base itself, the extra bit of MDF that we all got and designed a shape around. To make my life a little bit easier now, I'm going to delete the little guy just to make it a bit so he doesn't get in the way, and I'm going to move my camera so I'm looking underneath, because I need to make sure where I draw this is on the right edge. I'm going to get the rectangle tool, and again I'm going to press the control button just so I now draw with the center of my design. It doesn't have to be right slap bang in the middle, because I'm not really going to worry. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. I'm not really going to worry about exactly how big it is to start with, but you'll notice that because I've done that, it's now exactly where I need it to be. So some of you guys, you'll be able to use the pencil tool. You might have just cut some of the corners off, things like that, so you'll just be able to do that. Yes, it'd be great if you used the tape measure tool and made it perfect, but what do I really care about here? What we're looking for is it to look as close to what you design as possible. So that's one way of doing it, and then we could rub out some of these little corners and all of a sudden it's going to start to look like yours. If you used curves, then there's a kind of couple of different options we've got. So we've got our kind of curve tool or our arc tool over here. So sometimes we might want to do it so we just make a nice little curve on a corner. So I can do something like that. What I quite like about SketchUp is if you create the arc and then triple click, it kind of cuts it away for you already. So that could be one shape. It might be that I had a bit of an arc going on, so I could curve it one way. So careful that I need to try and make sure that it stays flat down. Sometimes the curve, I'll try and show you what I mean by that now, is it sometimes jumps up and actually you end up drawing something in completely the wrong angle. We want this thing to stay stuck down onto the desk. So then I might draw another curve and it might look like that, and then there might be, so we can make like wavy patterns if we want to, and that might be how my design is finished. Doesn't look particularly great, granted, but that would be what I need to do. You'll notice that because I've done that, I would need to make sure all of these little lines are filled in, otherwise I'd have some problems later on and it wouldn't create that solid shape. So over here, that would just need to run off to somewhere there. So if that was, it looks awful, but if that was my design, then I can delete the bits I don't want, and as long as this part stays grey, then I'm happy days. So you will need to use the right tools there. If you want to have an experiment with some of the other arc tools, there are different ones that do slightly different things, and there is a freehand pencil tool, but it isn't easy to do. So you click and hold and you can draw it round, but it tends to look like a 4-year-old did it, which isn't great. But what we need to do is create your shape to begin with.